Hello everyone. So, out today for a walk in the beautiful Dorset countryside. And basically we're going to walk along a footpath. It's a beautiful area and a beautiful sunny day, and the birds are singing. Just take you over this little rise here, because the reason we're actually coming down here is because we found a lot of old farm equipment, and it's been put here a very long time ago. The meadows are kind of interspersed in the woodland, and years ago there would have been small paddocks that would have grown hay. So probably in the 1870s, 1890s, 1900s, even up to the 1940s, there would have been lots going on in this woodland. And here's an example of what we wanted to show you. And this is a lovely old piece of vintage bygone farming history. Now just left lonely in the woods, and its days of former glory and use are long forgotten. So what we're going to do, we're going to walk through the woods now, because there are numerous pieces of this kind of equipment just left here, abandoned. And if you look closely, you'll see the spikes, which would have gone round and round and round when it was being towed by a horse, or possibly even a tractor when it was being used. And here we have a very long, derelict old piece of farm machinery, just lying in lonely woods. Such a shame, really. So we'll carry on with our little walk. I'm out with Simon and Rosabelle, who's going to give us a wave.
Hi.
So we're out for a little walk in the woods, aren't we, guys?
We are, yeah.
To see what we can find.
Yeah.
And here we come to the next one, which is about 45 feet from the previous one that we saw. It was made by a company called Nicholson, Newark-on-Trent. So that's quite interesting, because it had a maker's name. And this one is a very interesting machine because it's got a maker's name. I'll try and see if I can capture that for you, bear with me. I don't think I can get the name for you, unfortunately. We'll try and get a still shortly. And what we're going to do later on in the video is to actually show you pictures of machinery like this when it was used, and the men and the women that used to actually work as agricultural workers back in the day. Because people used to work on the land, of course. Sadly, very lowly paid agricultural workers. But of course, really, it was them who kept the industry of the wheels turning, because they supplied the food for the nation. There we go. Hopefully you can see this. It's a beautiful old piece of equipment with a towing bar. So very nice, and again abandoned and alone in the woods. Now this would have been used for spreading seeds, and at the moment it just looks like a rotted out piece of wood. Well, if it was towed by a horse or a tractor, it used to have small bristles inside, and it would have spread seeds in an even fashion on the land, and obviously the seeds would have turned into crops and then probably been made into bread for the local population. So there we are, there's an old seed spreader, and also there, that's an old seed spreader as well. As I say, later on in the video we will show you this type of equipment and the way it was used. And here we have another piece of old farm equipment, I don't actually know what this would have been. Perhaps somebody who's knowledgeable could make a little comment down below to help to identify this. 2 wheels. And a wooden frame. There's a very large wheel too, covered in bracken. And here's a few beautiful wildflowers. And shortly here in England we will have the most magnificent display of bluebells. Because everywhere we look, the bluebells are actually coming up, which are here. So soon there will be thousands and thousands of bluebells. A truly magnificent sight. Walking along through the woodland, we see no less than 3 pieces of ancient farm machinery submerged in the bracken. And the only sound is the birds. And a lovely show of yellow gorse in the distance. Over there is another piece of old equipment covered in bracken. So we have 1, we have 2, and just over here is a further huge piece of redundant farm machinery. If anyone can identify this, tell us what it might be, what it was used for, in the comments below, that would be wonderful, thank you. We come to another machine, barely 25 feet away from where the other one was parked up long ago. Very large cast iron wheel. We will try and locate pictures of this equipment to show you how it looked later on in the video. And if you are enjoying the video, would you please hit the thumbs up, which we would appreciate. Thank you very much. Gonna give us a wave. Simon and Roosevelt, his daughter. So yes, this is a beautiful location. Beautiful ancient woodland in the distance with oak trees, holly trees, fir trees. A wonderful place to be. And the next interesting thing we found is a long fallen telegraph pole, complete with insulators just lying in the bracken. And here we have a wagon which is completely covered in brambles and ferns and bracken. This looks like to be a derelict. Well, it has a bucket, so I presume, or we presume, that it is some kind of old tractor. Certainly made for moving earth in quantity. Again, covered in bracken. And just over there we found a shepherd's hut, which we're going to show you in a moment. But this is very interesting, everyone. This is a scrap pile. And having a quick look at it, it's an old car. An early old car. It's going to take a very clever person to work out what this one was. But comments are welcome. There's an old chrome bumper. So again, equipment that was once valued and used in everyday life lies abandoned. Here we are, everyone. We've just discovered the most wonderful old shepherd's hut, which would have been used by a shepherd in the paddocks and up on the downs when he was looking after his sheep. And we've just found it underneath a tree. Take you inside. Of course, it would have had floorboards years ago. It would have had a small fire to keep warm and cook on. And no doubt 100 years ago it would have been filled with laughter and possibly even song and music. Maybe a flute or a small squeeze box would have provided entertainment for whoever used to stay in this small mobile home, as it were, because they could be moved about. On the floor, we did notice a cheese knife, long abandoned cheese knife, a small amount of pottery there, and also we found an early hand drill, which was used by carpenters. Maybe it was even used in the construction of this, or repairs possibly. Piece of old chain. This would have been the end of the cart, and I think that this here would have been the part of a turning mechanism, and of course the wheels would have been on the left hand side of that and on the right hand side, and this shepherd's hut would have sat on 4 wheels, maybe being moved about by tractors and horses. And there's Rosabelle waving. So everyone, we hope you enjoyed a little stroll in the woods with us, and it was nice finding all the old vintage machinery, because we actually found the old cars over there. There's actually 2 cars. We figured this out, there's 2 cars and quite a large flatbed cart or wagon there, but it's covered in brambles. Sadly we can't show you that. But we're just going to walk around the outside of the shepherd's hut. As you can see, they were made with a wooden frame inside with corrugated iron on the outside. And no doubt it would have been painted back in the day with green paint or black, probably, to blend in with the countryside. So we'll just take you around this part.
Yeah, it's nice.
So yeah, the Lonely Shepherd's Hut.